Story 1. The Sound of Her Lies. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom that April, their pink petals drifting like snow across our suburban lawn, a cruel mockery of the chaos unraveling inside our home. Sarah and I had been married for 6 years, our life a carefully curated portrait of happiness, Max, our golden retriever, chasing squirrels in the backyard, the kitchen warm with the scent of her cinnamon rolls. But over the past few months, cracks had begun to form. She'd stay late at her marketing job, her phone buzzing incessantly with messages she'd silence with a quick, nervous glance. I'd catch her whispering into it in the hallway, her voice low and secretive, only to claim it was a client when I asked. I wanted to trust her. I loved her too much not to. But the doubts grew, twisting in my gut like a knife. Her excuses were flimsy, meetings that ran late, networking events with no details, and her eyes, once so warm, now darted away when I looked too long. One evening, I came home early from a work trip to Chicago, my suitcase wheels rattling against the driveway gravel. I'd bought roses, hoping to surprise her, to rekindle the spark I felt slipping away. The house was dark, save for a faint, flickering light from our bedroom window. My heart pounded as I climbed the stairs, each creak under my boots amplifying my dread. I pushed open the bedroom door and froze. Sarah was there, her auburn hair tousled, laughing softly with a man I'd never seen before, their bodies tangled in our sheets. The air was thick with the scent of her perfume and his cologne, a sickening mix that churned my stomach. My world shattered, but it wasn't just the betrayal that stopped me cold, it was her reaction. She looked up, saw me standing there, and didn't flinch. Instead, a cold, defiant smirk curled her lips, her green eyes glinting with something predatory, as if I were the intruder in my own home. The man, broad-shouldered with a jagged scar above his brow, didn't move. He just stared, his gaze heavy with menace, his lips twitching into a half-smile that sent a shiver down my spine. I stammered something incoherent, my voice breaking, and stumbled out, the roses falling to the floor. I thought that was the worst of it. I was wrong. Days later, while she was out, I found a hidden phone tucked inside a zipped pocket of her purse, one I'd never seen her use. Its screen was locked, but I guessed the code, our anniversary, a bitter irony. The messages inside weren't just flirty. They were chilling. If he doesn't back off, we'll handle it, one read, from a contact labeled D. Another, make it quick. No loose ends. My hands shook as I scrolled, realizing they weren't just cheating. They were plotting against me. The words burned into my mind, each one a fresh wound. Our home, once my sanctuary, became a house of horrors. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow cast by the swaying trees outside, felt like a warning. I started sleeping with a kitchen knife under my pillow, my heart racing at every sound. A branch tapping the window, Max's low growl in the dark. One night, I woke to deliberate footsteps downstairs, heavy and slow, echoing through the silent house. My pulse thundered as I gripped the knife, creeping to the landing, sweat beading on my forehead. The back door was ajar, a cold breeze carrying the scent of rain and damp earth. Muddy footprints, too large to be Sarah's, led to the kitchen where a note sat on the counter, scrawled in sharp, angry letters. You should have left. My blood ran cold. I moved out the next day, renting a cramped apartment across town, but the fear clung to me like damp rot, whispering that they were still watching, waiting for me to let my guard down. The weeks that followed were a slow descent into a paranoia I couldn't escape. I couldn't trust anyone, not our mutual friends who swore they knew nothing of Sarah's affair, not even my own reflection, which seemed to mock my naivety in the dim bathroom light. I kept that hidden phone, scrolling through its messages like a masochist, each one a fresh stab to my gut. They detailed how Sarah and her lover, a man named Derek with a criminal record for fraud and assault, had been siphoning money from our joint account, tens of thousands, drained over months, funneled into accounts I couldn't trace. But the real terror was their casual cruelty. One message read, "If he digs too deep, we'll make it look like an accident. Car crash, maybe, or gas leak." Another, "He's too pathetic to fight back." My stomach churned as I imagined them laughing over my fate. I went to the police, clutching the phone like evidence of a murder plot. But Sarah played the victim perfectly, tears streaming as she told them I was unhinged, obsessed, maybe even dangerous. The cops bought it, their skeptical glances cutting deeper than her betrayal. They found no trace of Derek, no record of the money. I started noticing things. A black sedan idling outside my new apartment, its driver obscured by tinted windows, gone when I approached. My mail arriving opened, the edges carefully resealed. Static on my phone line, followed by faint whispers, a man's voice, low and deliberate before it went dead. I changed my number, my locks, even my email, but the intrusions persisted. One night, I found a photo slipped under my door. A grainy shot of me sleeping in my new bed, my face peaceful, unaware. My heart stopped. How had they gotten in? I installed cameras, motion sensors, but they caught nothing, just static at odd hours, as if someone was jamming the signal. I barely slept, my eyes bloodshot, my hands trembling as I clutched the knife, jumping at every creak, every car horn. Last month, I saw Sarah at a gas station, her hair dyed darker, her frame thinner, but those eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, were unmistakable. She didn't approach, just watched me from across the pumps, her lips curling into that same smirk. I drove away, my heart pounding, checking my rearview mirror for miles, convinced I saw that black sedan trailing me. I've since moved to a new city, a new name on my lease, but I still jump at every noise, check every shadow. Last week, I found a keychain on my doorstep, a tiny replica of Max's collar tag engraved with one word: soon. I don't know if it's Sarah or Derek or both, but I'm certain they're not done with me. I live in a constant state of dread, my life a waking nightmare, haunted by the woman I once loved and the monster she's become. Story 2. The Shadow in Her Eyes. Lisa and I were high school sweethearts, married at 22 in a whirlwind of young love, our first apartment a cramped but cozy space in the heart of the city. Her laughter used to fill every corner, her lavender candles casting a warm glow over our late-night talks. But last year, that light dimmed. She'd vanish for hours, claiming girls' nights or errands, but her stories never added up. She'd mention a friend I'd never heard of, or her car's mileage wouldn't match the grocery store run she claimed. Her phone was locked tighter than ever, her fingers flying to hide the screen when I entered the room. I ignored the signs at first, the new musky perfume that clung to her clothes, the way she'd flinch when I touched her shoulder, the late-night texts she'd delete with a guilty glance. I loved her too much to suspect the worst, but the doubt grew, a gnawing ache that kept me up at night. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I followed her, my old pickup trailing her sedan through the city's neon-lit streets, my hands shaking on the wheel. She pulled into a seedy motel on the outskirts, its flickering sign casting an eerie glow over the cracked parking lot. My heart pounded as I parked across the street, watching her slip into room 12 with a tall, wiry man, his face obscured by a hoodie. I crept closer, my breath fogging in the cool night air, and peered through the cracked blinds. What I saw wasn't just intimacy, it was something darker, more violent. He grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her skin, and she didn't pull away. She leaned into it, her face unreadable, almost hungry. My stomach churned with a mix of betrayal and fear. This wasn't love. It was something twisted, something that made my skin crawl. I drove home, my mind racing, the image burned into my brain. When she returned at dawn, her hair messy, her blouse misbuttoned, I confronted her, my voice trembling. I expected tears, apologies room, her eyes cold and empty, like the woman I loved had been hollowed out. I tried to leave, packing a bag and staying at a friend's house, but she'd always find me, showing up at my office, her smile a mask, or calling from blocked numbers, her voice a low hiss. You can't hide. One night, I came home to find the man from the motel in my living room, his boots on my coffee table, a knife in his hand, its blade glinting in the dim light. He didn't speak, just stared, his eyes boring into me like a predator sizing its prey. I ran, checking into a hotel under a fake name, but the calls kept coming, static, then Lisa's voice. You can't run forever. I'm hiding now, in a new city, jumping at every shadow, my dreams haunted by her empty eyes and that man's scarred lip. Last week, I found a motel key card in my mailbox, no note, just the number 12 etched into it. Every creak, every stranger's glance feels like a warning. I'm trapped in a horror story, and Lisa is the monster at its heart. Story 3. The key to her secrets. Emily and I had been married for a decade, our life a quiet dream in a neighborhood where kids rode bikes until dusk and neighbors waved from porches. We had Mia, our 7-year-old daughter, whose laughter filled our home with joy. Emily was my rock, her warmth in every hug, every home-cooked meal. But last summer that warmth faded. She grew distant, her smiles forced, her eyes darting away when I asked about her day. New jewelry appeared, gold earrings, a diamond bracelet, things our teacher's salary and her part-time bookkeeping job couldn't afford. She'd snap when I questioned her, accusing me of smothering her voice sharp enough to cut. One day, while folding laundry, I found a small silver key in her coat pocket, not for our house or car. It was cold in my hand, its weight heavy with secrets. I tried to ignore it, but the key haunted me, a symbol of a life I didn't know. One evening, she said she was meeting a friend for dinner. I followed her, my heart pounding as I tailed her car to an upscale apartment complex downtown, its glass facade reflecting the city lights. She used that key to enter a penthouse unit, her silhouette visible through the window as she laughed with a man in a tailored suit, his movements polished, predatory. The betrayal hit like a punch, but what chilled me was her demeanor, calculated, like she was playing a role in a game I didn't understand. I confronted her that night, my voice shaking, expecting tears or excuses. Instead, she stared, her voice icy. You've ruined everything. The next night, my phone rang, a man's voice growling. You shouldn't have interfered. I changed my number, but the calls persisted, always from blocked numbers, sometimes just heavy breathing, sometimes that same voice, low and threatening. One night, I woke to Emily standing over me, holding that silver key, her face unreadable in the moonlight. You don't know what you've done, she whispered before walking out into the night. She didn't come back. The house felt haunted without her, every shadow a threat. Then I found that key again, left on Mia's pillow, its silver glinting like a warning. My blood ran cold. I moved with Mia to my sister's house, hoping distance would protect us. But the signs followed. My car was vandalized, the tires slashed in a precise X pattern. Mia's toys were rearranged one night, spelling leave on her bedroom floor. I hired a private investigator, Tom, who uncovered Emily's double life. Bank accounts I didn't know about, tied to a man named Victor, a con artist with a rap sheet. Fraud, extortion, assault. Tom's last report mentioned a network Victor ran, possibly tied to something bigger, darker. Then he vanished, his office empty, his phone disconnected. The next day, that silver key appeared on my doorstep, gleaming in the morning light. I'm terrified, jumping at every noise, every stranger's glance, convinced Emily and Victor are watching, waiting for the moment I let my guard down. The fear has consumed me, turning my life into a prison of my own making. I check the locks obsessively, my hands trembling as I hold Mia close, her questions about her mom breaking my heart. I've seen Emily's black SUV parked down the street, always gone when I approach, its tinted windows hiding whoever's inside. The police dismiss me as paranoid, citing Emily's tearful claims that I'm unstable, a danger to myself. But I know what I've seen, what I've found. I discovered a hidden email account on her old laptop filled with coded messages to Victor about shipments and cleanups, words that make my skin crawl. I found a burner phone in her glove compartment, its call log filled with numbers tied to abandoned warehouses. Mia's nightmares have worsened, her small voice whispering about Mommy's friend watching her through the window. I installed cameras, motion sensors, but they catch nothing. Just static at 3 a.m., as if someone's tampering with them. Last week, I found a note in Mia's backpack. She's mine now. My heart stopped. I don't know if it's Emily or Victor or both, but they're closing in. I keep that silver key in my pocket, a talisman of the danger I can't escape. Every night I check the windows, the shadows, my hands shaking as I imagine them slipping into our lives again. I've moved twice since, each time hoping it's enough. But last night, I found a photo under my door, me and Mia at the park, taken from a distance, her tiny hand in mine. Someone had written on the back, "We're closer than you think." My life is a waking nightmare, and Emily, or whatever she's become, holds the key to a horror I can't comprehend.